I was asked recently if I know any good rope puns, but I'm afraid not. What's going on, YouTube? We're inside the Infinite Archive, inside of Apocrypha. Again, a free to play zone to go over our first of two Tuesday vendors. It just rolls right off the tongue. The reason we talk about this bad mamma jamma here, Filer, is because he gives us an assortment of antiquities, maps, companion gear, and more. Let's break them down. And the first lead that we can purchase is the Clan Fear leather strapping. Now, this may surprise you, but this is actually a pretty annoying one to get. It only drops from Clan Fear mobs, which, as you can imagine, are a bit finicky to try to find in the overworld. But this is going to give us access to the Spolder of Runes Mythic, which basically activating Crouch activates and deactivates a 12-meter Aura of Pride. Up to 6 group members in this aura gain 260 weapon and spell damage, and it reduces your health, magicka, and stamina recovery by 70 for every person that benefits from this aura. This is a pretty niche support mythic. A lot of people don't play support, therefore you don't need this mythic, but it is one that I think is pretty good, and I'm wondering if people are going to start pairing these mythics with the new scribing skill that we are getting. That's going to be a flag that you get to wear. That'll give even more buffs. Again, this 260 is an unnamed buff, which means it stacks with every other buff in the game, so it's a decent mythic from a really annoying place to get. And if you do want to farm it organically, I would go to the Dune in Reaper's March. There's a decent amount of clan fears. This next lead is the Twice Harvested Knot Rope, which is a really interesting mythic because it gives you access to Stormweaver's Cavort, which normally comes from clothing nodes in Galen and the High Isle Zone, which, to be completely honest, is probably worth farming on your own. But this just gives us an opportunity to talk about this mythic, which is a pretty cool one because it basically gives you some magicka recovery, and then it turns all of your other stuff that would normally cost stamina into magicka, which could be things such as blocking, roll dodging, sprinting, breaking free, and so on. And there used to be some pretty broken builds that you could do with this, which would be basically when you were sprinting, you gain a bunch of magicka back, and because it wasn't magicka recovery, you could sprint indefinitely. I believe that set combo still exists. As far as actual good utilization for it, there are people that have tried this mythic for tanking because you can get different pools. There are people who tried this for PvP because if you've seen my PvP character, he can get the 60k max mag. Overall, I would say that it's a niche mythic that is it's probably about somewhere in the B tier. Next up is the Blood Spawn Shoulder. This is important to note because this is bound to you, but there are some pretty valuable monster masks as well as monster shoulders. How does this one stack up? Well, you can see it's a couple 100,000 gold, and I made sure to show you that I'm not showing you the opal versions because last time I was like, this is pretty cheap, but on screen was the opal version, so this is about a 1 to 200,000 gold item. Overall, it's not worth 15,000 archival fortunes. If you're going to spend your archival fortunes, you want to at least get something that's worth in the millions, in my opinion, because you're not getting to sell it. You're only getting something of that value. Next up, we have Malbator treasure maps, which notably don't really include any sauce. If you're going to be buying treasure maps, you want to, be rolling for either leads, mythics. You want to try to be able to get access to good set items that you can sell, motifs. You're not going to find really any of those things inside of Malbator. There are some really great treasure maps, but these unfortunately are not one of them. Next up, we have Companion Equipment Jewelry. Now, this is actually one that you may want to roll for because with the 2 new companions coming out and them having decent skills, people are going to be leveling them up and using them. And the companion gear market right now is already very tight, to say the least, in that if you want to buy some of the traits that you need, it's very expensive. And here's the best part about investing in this box is that you're guaranteed to get jewelry. Now, that sounds silly, but think about it this way. You may get the trait that you want. Let's say you're opening up weapons, right? You may get the trait you want, and then you might not get it on the weapon you want. So essentially, you are having to get 2 lucky rolls versus here, you only need 1. So that's why, to me, companion equipment jewelry is the one to roll for if you're looking to kind of beef up your companions and you don't want to spend millions of gold doing so. And then there's a fragment. If you want to get this one, it just normally comes from the Gorn and the Underweave public dungeons. Not something that you necessarily need to go out and purchase for 7,000 archival fortunes. I definitely think that you could almost match the book price with these fragment prices. I will show the books. I sometimes say that I don't like the books, but I promise I'm not anti-book. Next up, we're reviewing the scripts. This time, we have a few that are actually decent, but here's the thing, right? You're going to be getting scripts as you play the game very frequently, especially if you're doing daily quests like I told you to in the Westweld or the other areas, like you're doing your Fungal Grotto runs, you're doing your daily pledges. You're going to be getting these scripts if you're doing what you're supposed to do. So while Expedition is a great script and 2,000 Archival Fortunes is a decent investment if you don't have it, there's a great chance you already have it already. Mangle is in one that also could definitely be utilized in PvP situations. I don't think that this one's going to be as good right now. I do think, though, that when the banner comes out, I think if you're applying things like Mangle, which lowers people's total health into an area around you, I think that could be pretty broken. Multiple Target is, again, another really good one, but you're going to get it pretty frequently. And Gladiator's Tendency is another good one, but one that you probably already have. If you don't have any of these, I definitely think that if you're not doing a lot of grinding and specific types of content, it's perfectly okay to buy the Expedition one for 2,000 Archival Fortunes. I mean, that's the cost of 2 books. But I would just encourage you to play to get these because you're going to probably find them pretty frequently. And then we have the Archival Riddles, which you just naturally get by doing the daily quests and content inside of Infinite Archive. And then we have the 6th Health Withering Thread, which I actually would really like if ZeniMax would add a little blurb as to where these drop from. These pretty much all come from public dungeons. The first fragment that you get each day from a public dungeon drops very quickly, so it's actually pretty advantageous for you to do fragment farming inside of these different public dungeons, and I wouldn't encourage you to spend 7,000 Archival Fortune, because that's a lot of grinding. It's multiple hours of grinding potentially to get 7,000 Archival Fortunes. I would say at least around 2 hours of grinding, and this item probably is worth 10,000 gold, so the time invested is not going to reach the time, and value saved. And inside of the Scholarium, inside of Ivea, please tell me if I'm pronouncing that correctly in the comments below, we have our script vendor. Now, notably, the Grimoires, they stay the same, but there's a rotational scripts that you can buy here, and these are actually all pretty good. Savagery and Prophecy is good. You likely will get it. You'll probably find it in the overworld, but if you're not somebody that does a lot of daily quests, not somebody that farms that type of content, 4,000 gold is not a very big investment just to have it immediately, especially if you need to use it. Disease Damage is another one. It's a little bit niche, but if you're building a specific way, Disease Damage is good to have. Generate Ultimate is another fantastic script because guess what? Ultimates are ultimate, and they generally have a pretty big impact, especially because a lot of these have a lot of PvP utilization. It's just great to have. And then we finish off with Leeching Thirst, which is a decent script to also have as well. And the nice thing is that, and I will note too, Class Mastery is always here. You have to complete the actual achievement for it before you can buy it. But these other ones, these are all like pretty fantastic scripts. And I would much rather you put your time and money into gold and to getting scripts versus having to use Archival Fortunes. Especially because if you play on PC, 4,000 gold is nothing. At least on Xbox, 4,000 gold is like the equivalent of 1 1/4 draw waxes. On PC, 4,000 gold is like the equivalent of like a quarter of a draw wax, depending on the economy and how many sets are being, buffed and nerfed. So to me, this is a pretty good vendor to utilize if you're looking at getting into scripts and you're looking at getting into scribing and then taking that over into PvP, because most of these are PvP scripts, and yeah, as we know, PvPers are not doing Mages Guild, Fighters Guild. They'll get the rewards of the worthy ones, and they'll do the skip the Cyrodiil ones, but they're not going to get all, the rest of them potentially. So thank you guys so much again for watching, and we will be streaming later, probably around 6:30, 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Give this video a little bit of time to marinate, And as always, if you have questions, put them in the comments below. But I will note too, if you have a pressing question, put it in Discord, because the YouTube comments are not updating correctly in my YouTube platform, which is causing me a bit of trouble trying to go through your comments. And I have to actually click on a video through the actual YouTube app, scroll down, find the comments. So I'm trying to monitor my more recent videos to make sure you guys don't have like pressing questions. But If you do have one, please put it in Discord. And as always, we're doing our 3 giveaway drawings. All you have to do to enter is be subscribed/follow on Twitch and Twitter. We're on the road to 500 Twitter followers. And we're also on the road to, I guess, 2,000 followers on Twitch. Second thing is just leave a comment in the comments below. And the third thing is look for a hidden word to be flashed up on the screen. If you're the first person to comment that word, you will win. Thank you guys so much again for watching. I'll catch you guys in about an hour and a half. We'll break down the PTS, all the other lovely jubbly stuff, and anything that you want to talk about, and I'll catch you there. Bye, guys.
You better remember to like and subscribe to Jakeclips. Or you should. I might have to pluck your eyes if you don't. Or, better yet, I'll skip rope with your entrails. Do it now. Subscribe. Ta-ta. Off with you.